welcome to Hancock's VMware Half Hour. And welcome back to another episode of Hancock's VMware Half Hour. So apologies are in order because I was really going to start working on these videos when news broke of a critical zero-day vulnerability which appears in VMware ESXi 7.0, 8.0 and 6.7 and also 6.5 as well. Broadcom have released fixes for 6.7, 7, 8 and 6.5. Now let's just talk about 6.5 first of all. If you are still running on 6.5, I would definitely recommend that you actually basically upgrade to a later supported version, currently 7.0 or 8.0. A patch for 6.5 is only available to those that are currently on a contract of extended support. So that's the first thing. The second thing, if you have a VMware vCenter server in your organization, if you have vSAN in your organization, then please don't follow this video. I've seen lots of requests of late as to how to update VMware vSphere, ESXi 7 and ESXi 8. And a lot of people basically are recommending to do it this way. If you have VMware vCenter server and VMware vCenter server has access to the internet, then there is no reason why you shouldn't use VLCM or Lifecycle Manager to perform your updates and do all the heavy lifting. You will find the updates are there. Going forward, baselines are going to be deprecated or depreciated. So you really want to start actually basically having a little look at creating a single image for your cluster and then basically remediating that single image against the hosts. And that single image allows you to download the latest security update, use the latest update from your vendor, Dell, HPE, Lenovo, etc., and basically update your servers. Now let's talk about OEMs first of all. So the update issued by Broadcom is a security patch only. It's not going to basically update any of your drivers on your hosts. So you can still make use of VLCM or the depot file that we'll talk about in a minute to update your servers. So you don't have to wait for the OEMs to roll you a full OEM ISO to update your servers. You can do it now with VLCM. So let's get that out of the way. If you've got VMware vCenter server that's managing your hosts, you have internet access, then use VLCM to update your hosts and don't follow this method that I'm going to show you today, which I have done many times. But there are a few people out there getting a little bit confused that they've got 8.00, the original GA build of VMware ESXi. So today in this video, I'm going to show you how we're going to go from 8.00 GA to the latest build, which is 8.03D, which is the latest build that actually basically fixes the critical day vulnerability. So this is basically for version 8. And we're going to do it in what I call the dirty way, where we're going to pull the update directly from VMware using the internet. So if you've got standalone ESXi 8 host, that host has got access to the internet, then you can follow this video. Now, let's just basically put a disclaimer out there that I tried to find this again on the Broadcom site and I could not find it after spending about 60 minutes trying to find it. But I read on the Broadcom site that it stated that if you do not have a current support agreement, then you are not entitled to patch your server with these updates. So the same goes basically for following this method I'm assuming that you have got a valid support agreement in place that entitles you to use this patch. If I can find that link again on the Broadcom website, then I'll maybe do a little video specifically on that. So again, disclaimer, if you have not got a valid support contract currently for your ESXi 8 server, then you are not entitled to use this patch. Technically, you can use this method to update your servers, but I will leave that on the table as to whether or not that you think that it's right that you should be doing that. So this is the Broadcom KB VMSA-2025-0004. And if we scroll down, you can actually effectively see the scores here, the CVSS scores of 9.3, 8.2 and 7.1, and the fixed version, which is what we're going to update to today, which effectively is 8.0 U3D build 245853. So as I said, I have done videos on this before, but I wanted to do this one again because people are getting a little bit confused out there. They're not using the update string correctly. So I thought, okay, let's just quickly do another video. So I've enabled SSH. I don't think I need to show you how to do that. I have got videos on how you enable SSH. And if you've actually followed any of these videos before, you will know by now that I actually basically like to have two SSH sessions open. In the top SSH session here, I'm tailing the ESX update log, so I can actually basically see what's actually occurring. So that's tail space -f space /var/log/ESX update.log. I've got an SSH session open in the bottom here, and I've typed in VMware space -v, and that actually basically shows me the current build, and that build is 20513097. So that's the first build of ESXi. So I just wanted to show you that it is possible, because I was working on a question where somebody basically had to roll back to 8.00 GA because they'd locked themselves out of their particular host. I think it was a GPU pass-through issue with the VM or something or other. So they had to reinstall ESXi 8.0 again, and they were having problems uplifting it to a version later than what they were currently running. So I thought, I know what to do. I'll capture this as a video. We'll get that up to YouTube, and you can see that this definitely works. You can go from 8.00 to 8.03D with no issues with one command, as I said, using the dirty method, what I like to call the dirty method, direct from the internet. Now, another question that came up, somebody turned around and said, can I have the link for the download? We're not actually downloading any file here. What we're actually using, we're using the repo that's used by VLCM to pull down the update for our server. So the command that we're going to use is as follows. Again, ESX CLI space software space profile space update -p. Now, it's absolutely important that you get the parameters and the command exactly right. If you don't get it right, it will come back with an invalid namespace issue. So -p, then we're going to use the profile name, which is ESXi 8.0 U3D 2458538 standard. So the fact it's just a standard, it's including VMware Tools if VMware Tools has changed as well, followed by -d. And then I think this is what people get a little bit confused about. They actually think that https://host update -vmware-com /software /vum /production /main /vmw -depot-index.html. I think some people actually think that that's a link that they can type in and get the update file. It's not. I have had a couple of comments that turned around and said, where is the link to the update file? There is no link to the update file in this. I'm specifying a --dry-run, So no changes are actually going to happen on our host. And I'm also going to add the no hardware warning. So because the hardware on this particular server is not on the HCL, if I didn't actually basically use no hardware warning, then effectively the update would fail, and it would actually basically tell me then that I needed to use the no hardware warning. So without further ado, I'm just going to hit enter, and you're going to see in the top screen an awful lot of stuff that scrolls up. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have my beverage of choice, which is a good old Pepsi Max. They're still not sponsoring the channel, by the way. So I'm going to have my Pepsi Max. I'm going to let that run. I will have to speed this up in post because there is an awful lot of stuff that's now going on in the background because the doing host updates over the air, and I think you can do probably host updates for all the 7.0 ESXi 7.0 and all the ESXi 8 as well. There are an awful lot of updates there that have to be passed before you'll get to the right one to actually basically start pulling down the files that you need. And again, it was mentioned the other day that Broadcom had stopped this. They put this behind a paywall. Well, it's the 13th of March today, and I'm still able to do this today. But as I have reported in other videos, it would not surprise me in the future if Broadcom put a paywall. As I said to you before, looping right back to the beginning about disclaimer, if you don't have a valid support contract currently to support your ESXi or ESXi 7 hosts, then you are in breach of the end user license agreement in doing this, as Broadcom have stated on their website that you are not entitled to updates unless you have a support contract. Again, even if I was to have the depot files, which I'll talk about now, if you don't have access to the internet, and that's also applicable to VLCM, also applicable to standalone hosts, if you don't have access to the internet, then obviously you can't use this dirty method over the air to do your updates. You're either going to have to basically obtain an ISO. At the moment, Broadcom has not released a ready-made ISO of build 8.0 U3D. So the only way that you can upgrade a host is by using VLCM with access to the internet, this method with access to the internet, or by the method of basically logging into the Broadcom portal and downloading the depot file for the version of ESX that's required, either 7 or 8. Now, those depot files, again, will only be made available to you if you have a valid support contract. And I'd also like to address another issue that I've seen discussed, where there is a statement that's made by Broadcom that states that if you are an expired contract organization, you will be entitled to critical security updates forever and a day. What Broadcom mean by that is, if you've had a recent Broadcom contract which has expired, where you have a subscription-based license for ESXi 7, 6.7 or 8, they will offer you the updates if you request them. However, if you do not have an enterprise agreement with Broadcom, if you do not have a site ID with Broadcom, you will not be entitled to those updates. So let's just rewind. Let's just sort of kind of pretend that you are currently a VMware vCenter. You're currently a VMware vSphere 8.0 or 7.0 infrastructure. You were on perpetual licenses, but you decided last year in November, when Broadcom took over VMware, that you weren't going to renew. So you're still on perpetual licenses. You're not on subscription-based licenses. You don't have a site ID. You don't have an enterprise agreement with Broadcom. you will not be entitled to the depot files. And then coming on to that, again, as specified by Broadcom, Broadcom makes it quite clear that if your organization doesn't currently have a site agreement and a support contract, and you're not entitled to use those updates, if I've got those updates because I'm entitled to use them, that does not give me the right to give them to you to update your organization's VMware vSphere infrastructure. It is against the EULA. So just wanted to get that completely out the way before we start these videos, because I've had since March the 4th with this critical update that's come out, it's caused no end of confusion, and people actually basically saying about that it's a critical and security update, therefore Broadcom will give it to you unless you've got a valid support contract or an expired contract with a site ID. Then I'm afraid there's no luck. They will not give you the depot files. Okay, so after all that waffle, we can see, as expected, that we've not received any errors at all. And the update result from the message is dry run only, host not changed. The following installers will be applied. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to basically, I'm going to log in on our host just to actually basically show you the version that's running at the moment. And then what we will do, we will rerun that update without the dry run. Okay, so here I am, ESXi 8.002051397-standard. ESXi 8.0.0, you can see that, 8.0.0 is what I'm running. So let's go back and let's do the heavy lifting. So I'm basically just going to go put the up arrow key. I'm going to delete the dry run now. I'm going to leave in the no hardware warning, and I'm going to hit enter. And this time, this is going to apply the patch directly to a server. And with all that, I never actually basically took a sip because throat's dry. And anyway, so as I was saying, so I do apologize. As I said, the update from Broadcom came out about the 0-day vulnerability, and I was midst following. I say I'm a lifelong fan of Marillion, not so much Marillion these days, but I am a lifelong fan of Fish, and Fish was basically completing his final retirement tours. So I've been up in Haddington in Edinburgh, and I've been up in Glasgow, and I've been up in Liverpool as well. And I think the update came out just before I was going off to Liverpool to go and see Fish, and then I was later going off up to Glasgow to see the final 2 nights. Anyway, so with that, I'm going to bob off. I'll speed all that up in post, and then I'll come back and summarize. So I'll be back shortly. And the keen-eyed amongst you will notice that I deleted a load of gibberish that appeared at the end. I don't know. That could have been me knocking the keyboard. Anyway, okay. After a while, that was very slow. I don't know whether or not that the download is slow. But anyway, so the update result that we're looking for is the update completed successfully, but the system needs to be rebooted, obviously, for changes to be effective. Reboot required equals true. You can have a little look at all the VIBs that have been installed, which will be a lot. because of course we remember we've gone from 8.00 GA, so there have been a lot of cumulative updates between 8.00 and 8.03D. Vibs removed, so these are all the redundant vibs that have been removed at a jump, and no, none have been skipped. So if I just go back and hopefully log in again, because it's timed out, and we can do a restart of the server. Now the keen eye amongst you will probably have noticed that this server is not in maintenance mode. Doesn't matter actually, to apply updates. Normally the reason we actually basically put it into maintenance mode is to evacuate all the VMs off the host while we do the update. If you had DRS or HA cluster, it would do that automatically for you if you put it into maintenance mode. Otherwise, you'd have to power them off. So I'm now basically just going to reboot the server. Reboot. Again, this is a standalone host. It's not connected to VMware vCenter server. So this is why I'm actually basically demonstrating to you that if you have a standalone ESXi host that's connected to the internet, and you are licensed and you have a support contract ongoing with Broadcom, then you can update your host this way. If you have VMware vCenter server, you have a cluster, you have vSAN, don't do it this way. Use VLCM, and I've done some videos on VLCM with OEM servers, HPE and Dell, so I will put those in the description. So the SSH connection would have been dropped from our host as it's restarted. I'm just wondering whether or not that it will, how quickly it will come back. So let's just say duplicate session, and we've got a login. So that suggests that it's already restarted. So I'm just going to basically log in as root. Refresh your browser. Okay, no healthy upstream. So that's a good indication that the server has restarted, but it's just in the final stage of starting all the services, so that we've got access to the GUI. He hopes. So maybe I'm just a little bit too quick, but I am actually keen, as I've got a SSH session. If I do a VMware-V, we have now been updated to VMware ESXi 8.03 build 245.85.383, which is the fixed version, which is VMware ESXi 8.0 update 3D, and those are the release notes as well. So hopefully now, if I do a refresh, okay, we're going to get the GUI. So just a little bit keen, and I can log in and show you that we have successfully updated our ESXi standalone host. Okay, so we're updated, ESXi 8.0 U3D, and you can see it says 8.0 update 3 as well. So our critical vulnerability, as announced by NHS England on their website, probably advising their internal IT departments, that there is this 0-day vulnerability exploitation which has been found and observed in the wild. So there you go, quite simply, in about 30 minutes, because I will speed up that in post, because that did take quite some time to do those updates. So I'll speed that up in post for you. So that's simply how we can update any version of 8.x to that by using that command that I've specified there. And we can do exactly the same thing with VMware vSphere Hypervisor ESXi 7, obviously providing that we're using a 7 profile as well. So that's quite simply how we do it. And my thanks to, I think it was one of our YouTubers that was watching, Tibby Gog Rescue 94. I think I've got that right. But anyway, that was for him, really. We spent some time this morning really working with him, and yesterday in getting that sorted. Anyway, so again, if you've liked this video, then please thumbs up. If you don't like the video, then don't like it. But more importantly, as I said, please subscribe, please share. And if you like these videos and you like Hancock's VMware Half Hour, then come back for the next episode, where we're probably still going to be concentrating on this 0-day critical vulnerability, probably for a few more days. We'll do some videos on 7, we'll do some videos on 8 and some later versions. We'll look at the depot file. So I have done videos on these before, but we'll cover it again. We'll look at applying the depot file, and when I get the rest of the lab powered up again, we'll look at doing some VLCM as well. Anyway, so once again, thank you very much for watching, and I'm going to go off and drink the rest of my espresso. So thank you very much now, and goodbye. See you again soon. Bye bye.